Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 383 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our third book is called From Letters to Leaders, Leveraging Your Fraternity or Sorority Experience to Land Your Dream Job. That is on Amazon, so go and pick up that book today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, if you're like me, you have no idea how to communicate with physicians today because they are typically in a rush and you don't always get resolution on the problem that you came in to discuss. I wondered about how we can put the focus on the patient, which is what doctors take an oath to uphold, instead of everything else that doctors are worried about, such as paperwork for insurance companies, for example. So let's learn more straight from the source. Our next guest is Dr. Maria Hester, and her passion is patient empowerment. For over 2 decades, she has worked diligently to educate healthcare consumers on powerful, easy-to-understand methods to optimize their health and their healthcare and lower their medical bills. She is a syndicated columnist as part of the Price of Business digital network. Yes, patient empowerment is her theme. What else could it be? Few things in life are as motivating and satisfying as empowering people to live stronger, longer lives. Dr. Hester's latest book, it's called Patient Empowerment 101. More than a book, it's an adventure. This book was published in November of 2022, and you can pick it up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hester.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am doing fantastic today, and I am feeling good. So I just wanted to chat a little bit more about the medical profession and just, patient empowerment, because I think it's important that we put the focus right where it should be. And, let's go back to your undergraduate experience, because that's always kind of a formative time in everybody's life. You decided on Purdue University for your undergraduate experience. And listen, they have some incredibly smart students on campus. I've been working with them now for 11 years. So why did you decide Purdue was the right choice for you?
I'm a Hoosier. So Purdue was the state school. My sister went to Purdue, so I became a Boilermaker too. And I actually went back. I'm in graduate school at Purdue now. So I re-enrolled and I'm doing a master's in healthcare administration.
Wow, good for you. I love that. You're just loyal like me.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, and you're a lifelong learner too. I think that's a really important lesson for our listeners to learn. I'm also in a doctorate program right now, and it's just fascinating. Yeah, it's fascinating. And I just, I love being connected to college students. I love talking about higher education, and whatever I can do in order to get the message out to more college students, I'll do it. And certainly that's part of the doctorate program that I'm in as well. So hopefully we're setting a good example for the next generation.
I hope so. I think they'll listen.
I think so. And so you're a board certified internal medicine physician. You have over 30 years of direct patient care experience. Explain to the college students who are listening right now how they can develop a quick 1-minute elevator speech with all the details that doctors want to know about when you get there. So that way there's no need for excessive testing and procedures that these college students can't afford and they don't have time for.
Sure. Get a pencil or take out your tablet. There are 8 important terms.
Okay.
Now, up until January of this year, Medicare and insurance companies mandated that doctors document some combination of these in the record. And if they didn't document enough, they could be charged with insurance fraud, because not only are they linked to helping the doctor pinpoint the diagnosis, they were also vital for documentation purposes. So what I like to do is I tell people to think of something that is meaningful to them. Take the first letter of each of these 8 words or phrases and just scramble them and make something up. Okay, so they are context. For instance, the context of my back pain was I just lifted a heavy sofa. That says a lot to the doctor. If you go in and you complain of back pain after lifting a heavy sofa, he's not going to go looking for cancer. Also, location, and be specific. People come in and they say, oh, my belly hurts. What does that mean? You have an appendix, you have a gallbladder, you have a spleen, you have all sorts of things in there. Be as specific as possible. My upper right abdomen hurts. My lower left abdomen hurts. My chest hurts in the upper middle part. Be as specific as possible. Also, the character, think of a descriptive term. For instance, if it's pain, is it a burning pain like heartburn? Is it a squeezing pain? The doctor be worried about a heart attack. Is it a sharp pain, such as a muscle strain or even a blood clot in the lungs? So the character matters. The severity. Doctors use a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is very mild. 10 is, oh my gosh. So try to be as close and realistic as possible. I once had a patient, I walked into his room because I spent most of my time as a hospital specialist. So what's your pain level today? Oh, it's a 10. As he's texting and watching TV, I'm like, no, a 10 is a woman screaming at her husband in the throes of childbirth. It's excruciating pain. So get in the habit of carrying yourself, saying things in a way the doctors can really relate to, and that way they will have more confidence of what you say. If you say you have 10 over 10 pain, you walked in and you're smiling, then it's obvious you don't really know what's going on. The timing, each time something occurs, how long does it last? For instance, each time I have abdominal pain, it lasts 2 or 3 hours. Also the duration, how long have you endured the issue? You might say, I have had abdominal pain off and on for 2 months. 2 months is the duration. Each time it occurs, it's 2 or 3 hours. That's the timing. So timing and duration are different things. Modifying factors. You may say, you know, whenever I have a headache and I turn off the lights and I lie still in a dark room, the headache goes away. Or when I walk more than 2 or 3 blocks, I get shortness. I develop shortness of breath. So what brings it on, what makes it better, what makes it worse? Associated signs and symptoms. You know, I have abdominal pain in my upper right abdomen, and when I get it, I also vomit. That's associated with the primary problem. So what other things are going on around that time? So again, we have the 8 things: the context, location, character, severity, timing, duration, modifying factors, and associated signs and symptoms. So if you take the first letter, think of something that's realistic to you. So let's say that you live in Ohio and you're a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you go to the stadium a lot. So I'm going to take the first letter, and I can come up with CCL, Cleveland Cavaliers Stadium. The I and U would have nothing to do, but just part of the mnemonic. So just whatever would make sense to you. So when you're driving down the street, the doctor's office, you think of this mnemonic and you go through the steps. So when you go into the doctor's office, you can hit each bullet point, help the doctor pinpoint what's going on. So you won't need all these unnecessary tests and procedures. That's going to be huge because we're looking at a tsunami of a healthcare issue. We're looking at a shortage of up to 124,000 doctors in 11 years. Short visits now are going to be even shorter later. And so if you can go in well prepared, prioritize your concerns, because your doctor might not be able to get to everything. So you prioritize your concerns and you tell the doctor what's going on in a methodical and concise manner. You will get a quicker diagnosis, which means you're going to get out of pain sooner. You're not going to have as many tests. You're going to save money, because all of this stuff costs you more. You won't have to come back as often for more visits. So it is a complete win-win.
What I wanted to ask you was that I was recently looking for a new primary care physician. And what I noticed is many of them are super busy. They're not even taking new patients. It's almost like I have to go out and really, really look hard to find a doctor that is even accepting new patients. So how do you choose the right doctor when they're super busy? And if you do get an appointment, they don't have a lot of time to explain things.
First of all, go through your insurance, see who is on the panel. Certainly, you don't have to abide by that panel. You can pay out of pocket or you can pay the out-of-network fee, but that would be the first thing. Also, ask your friends and family members who is a good doctor, because that's important to get good referrals. Go online and take a look and see the reviews. Certainly, if they only have one review, they just opened up practice and it's not the best review, that does not necessarily reflect that doctor. One angry patient is more likely to write a review than 10 happy patients. So you put that all together. What's important to you? Do you need evening hours, weekend hours? You want somebody who's close to school. So you prioritize your issues, and then you narrow down the scope of the potential doctors, and you call and you find out who's accepting patients and who is not. Also realize that while you might need to wait for a while to get an appointment with a new doctor, there are always these after hours clinics that you can go to if you have an acute issue. So go ahead and get on the books with the doctor that you choose. And if you have an acute issue before your appointment, you're always welcome to be seen at an after hour center. So do your homework. When you go in, you're interviewing that doctor. If there's not a connection, there's not a good bedside manner, for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable, go to number 2 on your list. And you just keep going till you find somebody you feel comfortable with.
That's great advice. We've had several episodes where we've talked about chronic illness on this show,
Mhm.
and there's a whole host of various chronic illnesses out there that students are impacted by. So, what is your advice to students who do have chronic illness? How can they thrive while they're at college and also deal with this chronic illness they have?
Know everything you can about the illness. Ask your doctor to reputable sites.
Mm.
Don't just go on the internet and read everything, because you'll get palpitations and anxiety attacks. So ask your doctor for literature. When you go to see the doctor, if you have a diagnosis, get what your doctor has to offer. Also ask your doctor where you should go. Of course, sources like WebMD, they're very reputable sources. There are certain associations, the American Heart Association, American Lung Association. Associations are also good sources. There's a site that I love. It's called Up to Date. As a physician, is awesome because it keeps up to date. They update information every few months, but they also have a patient side. So you can go there to the patient side and you can download the basics or beyond the basics. And that is an excellent site. I strongly recommend Up to Date. So again, ask your doctor to clarify what's going on and know the exact diagnosis. Don't accept you have some kidney problem. That could be many things. Write down the specific diagnosis so you'll know how to research it. And if it's something like high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, find out your action plan. If your blood sugar is a certain level, what are you supposed to do? If your blood pressure is a certain level, what do you do? Same with asthma. So ask your doctor for an action plan. When this happens, which occurs from time to time, what should I be worried about? Should I call you? Should I go to the ER? Is there an extra medicine I should take? What should I do? And write down your action plan. And those things will help you thrive in spite of your illnesses.
That's very helpful. I love all the website suggestions that we gave to our listeners. I think that's really good. I want to talk about health insurance in the United States of America. I mean, it just blows my mind because I know what else is out there all over the world, right?
Mhm.
Why is it that our health insurance is tied to our job, as if you don't have a job or you're an entrepreneur, you don't deserve health care? I mean, it's just, to me, it's just wild. And so our listeners, they're going out into the workforce pretty soon, as soon as they graduate. Maybe they're going to be starting their own business. I just talked to a whole bunch of college students that are entrepreneurs, a lot of them in Gen Z. So how can they choose the right health insurance without breaking the bank if they're unemployed or if they're an entrepreneur?
I would say do your research, see what's out there. I personally like high deductible health plans for relatively young, healthy people, because even though there's a big deductible, if you typically see a doctor once every 2 years, it may be worth your while to have $100 a month deductible, realizing that if you get sick, you may have to pay, $100 a month payment, and be okay with paying the $2,000 deductible on the off chance you become ill versus paying $500 a month and you're not going to really see that doctor. So I would really look into high deductible health plans if you don't use the medical system often, because you can actually save a lot of money that way. And the money that maybe you would have spent on your monthly insurance premium, put it in the bank. So if you do become sick and you do need to pay out that $2,000 deductible before it kicks in, it's already there. And if you don't need it, take yourself on a vacation.
That's a great point. I'm really into prevention. I talk about hazing prevention and sexual assault prevention and alcohol and drug abuse prevention. I want to, defeat all of these problems before we even get to the point where it's a major issue and your health or your life is impacted. So, what are the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine that can actually prevent or reverse all of these common diseases?
This is a huge issue that is starting to get so much needed attention. So now we know that there are 6 specific things that can be done to prevent, treat, and even reverse numerous illnesses, frequently such as high blood pressure, diabetes, you know, can prevent certain cancers. It just keeps going on and on. Number one, it's a good diet. So I was a college student. I remember, you know, there was this place called Papa Dale's down the levee at Purdue.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I've never had pizza like that. So, I mean, I get it, that you want to have all this quote unquote yummy food, but we have found that processed foods actually impact the brain. They can actually change the set point in the brain for your weight. And that can impact the rest of your life, because if you have a hard time losing weight, you're going to put yourself at risk of diabetes, blood clots, cancers, all sorts of things. And so a whole food, plant-based diet would be great. By that, whole foods, things that are natural, apples, oranges, nuts, all sorts of things in their natural form before they go through all the processing. The ultra processed foods, the cakes, the cookies, and all of those things, those are the things that are going to be more problematic. And that's not to say that you can't have a Friday night pizza. That's to say that during the week, eat sensibly, and certainly every now and then reward yourself. But don't make every day full of things that aren't good for you. So a whole food plant-based diet is huge. And again, you probably have heard the saying, eat the rainbow. Different foods have different nutrients. You put them all together to make the body work optimally. So don't just eat oranges. Don't just eat broccoli. You need a variety of things that keep switching things up. Exercise. A good level of physical activity is very important, not only for your emotional health. It releases endorphins, it makes you feel good, but it is tremendous for your physical health. So regular physical activity, restful sleep. If you don't sleep, that sets into motion a cascade that is not healthy for you. So make sure you get good sleep. And so right before bedtime, don't be on the computer, because it's going to be hard to really get sleep. Avoid toxic substances, such as drugs, such as tobacco, and so forth. Those things can be very detrimental to your health. Stress reduction is huge. Stress can take you out. Stress can lower your life expectancy. So exercise, again, is great for stress reduction, but also other things, meditation, long hot baths, social contacts. That is another, it's the 6th pillar. And having good social relationships, that also helps decrease the stress. But the social relationships are very important, because if you look at the blue zones, the parts of the world where people live longer than other people live into their 90s easily, they have these good relationships. They follow these 6 pillars. And even Loma Linda, California is one of 6 blue zones in the world. And so it can be done. You just have to be cognizant of the things that can impact the quality of your life and the duration of your life, and just make a determination early in life to focus on those things that will help you live long. It's great to start a new business, do extremely well, but if your health suffers and you're in your 40s and you can't travel and you can't enjoy all those things because of the choices you made 20 years ago and further, what have you really accomplished? So be mindful of the whole picture, not just what's right ahead of you, but look to live long and prosperous, have a great business, have a great job, great career, but be healthy enough, if it's at all possible, that you can actually enjoy all of this and enjoy your family, enjoy your grandkids, maybe your great grandkids, enjoy the things that you want to do when you're able to do them.
Yeah, that's so key. I've learned over time that, your health is the most important thing. You could have unlimited cash, but if you don't have your health, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you're confined to home,
Exactly.
for example, and you're not going to live the life that you want in retirement. I do try to work out every single morning. Today, I was super busy with work. I had a bunch of stuff that I needed to get done. So, how can we burn calories in our home office instead of the gym?
You know, I work at home.
Hmm.
Excellent question. I just went online and I purchased an under the desk elliptical
Mm.
and an under the desk bicycle. So while I'm working, I'm in meetings and so forth. You may see my head bobbing, like, oh, Maria's on the bicycle again. But you're getting something done. And so get up regularly. Even though you may work at home, you start the day, I've gotten into Taibo again, a big Taibo workout, 5-10 minutes before you start. That really gets the heart pumping, gets the endorphins moving. Get up during the day, do things, and have your under the desk elliptical and your bicycle. And there are actually these treadmills that you can get, and there's a little like desk that goes over top of it, so you put your laptop there and you're just walking on your treadmill. You get a lot of exercise done that way. So be creative. There are definitely ways that you can get those steps in even at home.
Yeah, I've seen those treadmills all over TikTok and various social media. So I see that a lot of people are out there using it. I'm going to look into that and see if I can maybe add that to my home office as well. And
Great.
the other thing I wanted to talk about was just the health records overall, because
Mhm.
I've done a terrible job here, and I need to do better. You suggest that we have a personal copy of our health records, not leave it up to the doctor's office to keep all of this stuff. So
Mhm.
what should that health records, what should it contain?
Okay. You want your past history and be specific. Don't write down I have a kidney disease. Write
Mm.
down the name of the kidney disease. So a list of your medical diagnoses. You want a list of your medications, why you take them, because some drugs can actually be used for more than one thing. The doctor who prescribed the medication, have a list of your doctors, because over time, you're not going to remember that doctor on Elm Street in this city that did this test. You're not going to remember those things. So keep a list of your doctors because you're going to be moving around and you might want to get those records, or your new doctor might want those things. Also, your family history, significant diseases, diabetes, heart disease, and so forth, who it was, and the age that that person developed those diseases. I mean, if you have a father who developed, heart disease and had a heart attack in his 80s, that's not as concerning as a father who had a heart attack, massive heart attack in his 40s.
Mm.
And so all of those things are important. I think I mentioned the allergies, medications, and abnormal lab tests. You want to know those. So, for instance, a creatinine is a common kidney test.
Mhm.
If you say, the doctor said I had some kidney problem, if you can say my creatinine was 2, the doctor hones in. That's a lot more specific than some kidney problem. On my website, patientempowerment101.com, if you scroll to the bottom, I actually have a free downloadable pocket record. So you can download that, print that, fill it in, and keep it in your wallet. You can make a copy, email it to yourself. So, if you're at the doctor's office, you want to pull it up on your phone, just pull your email. But realize, there are HIPAA issues. If you're comfortable with doing that, certainly by all means do that. But you need to be able to reproduce your records anytime, because you might end up in the emergency room. You go out playing with some friends, playing basketball or something might happen. The next thing you know, you're in an emergency room. The doctor's not going to know what you're allergic to. And a lot of drugs have a similar chemical composition to other drugs. And so if you try to say, I'm allergic to this drug, and you don't quite get it right, he might think you mean something completely different, give you medication that can have significant side effects. So you've got to know these things. And also, I recommend that your significant other, whether it's a parent, a spouse, somebody else, should also have a copy, because let's say that you end up in the ER and you can't communicate. They gave you strong pain medicine, or you're kind of out of it for whatever reason. Somebody needs to be able to communicate your history to the people who are going to be making life-threatening decisions on your behalf.
Excellent points. Really, really important stuff. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was technology, because I see like all kinds of watches and all kinds of things out there that are intended to try to help us improve our health. So, talk to our audience a little bit about how technology can actually help us to improve our health.
I have a colleague who diagnosed herself with an abnormal heart rhythm called atrial fibrillation by looking at her Apple Watch. And so I'm all for that. Any technology, anything that you can do that will make it safer, improve your health. There are apps where you can also put in your medical records. There's all sorts of stuff out there. And as long as you've done your research and it's safe and you don't have to worry about your records ending up in cyberspace,
Mhm.
then I say go for it. I've done the same. I think that the technology is definitely advanced and it's definitely worth looking into. And in many cases, it's worth the investment.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go and look into that. I think that's another good idea, good takeaway for me in terms of improving my health. Now, I love good food, and I get the feeling that you like good food too, because you live
Yeah.
in Baltimore in that area, and there's just phenomenal restaurants there. If you like seafood, I mean, there's really no better place, in my opinion, in terms of food. So, do you have any places that you suggest the next time I'm in the Baltimore area if I want to get a good meal?
I like Phillips down on the harbor.
Yeah.
Uh, I am a vegetarian now. And so for me, if you have vegetables or salad, I can go. My family is not, they're not vegetarian. So I'm happy to have an Olive Garden's salad. I just keep bringing more and more and more. And that makes me happy. Salad bars. But as far as good food, fish and so forth, Phillips was one of my favorite places to go.
Oh my God, Phillips is just phenomenal. I remember going there as a kid and they had the unlimited all you can eat, buffet with like they had, peel and eat shrimp, they had snow crab legs. I mean, it was like as much as you wanted, and I was totally in
Oh,
heaven. That place is just so, so good. And I agree with you too. Olive Garden knows how to make a salad. Like that dressing, I don't know what they put in there, but
I know,
that's
isn't it good?
delicious. That is good. I don't know what they put in there. I don't know. I just love it. I just think it's so good.
I
All right.
got it.
Yep. All right. So if our listeners, if they want to buy your book, it's called Patient Empowerment 101. Maybe they want to connect with you because they need some assistance in terms of their, medical history, patient empowerment. Where should they go in order to connect with you?
Okay. They can go to patientempowerment101.com. And at the bottom of the page, think a little bit below the downloadable record I just mentioned, there's a box, just fill it in and you can send me a message. The full name of the book is Patient Empowerment 101, More Than a Book, It's an Adventure, because inside the book, there is a URL for the inside of this website where they can go to download more medical forms, watch videos and so forth. So that's the adventure part of the book.
I love it. Patientempowerment101.com. Go and check it out. Dr. Ann Maria Hester, you are just a resource with tons of great information. I
Thank
love
you.
that your focus is on patient empowerment, where the focus belongs, in my opinion. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for empowering patients all across the country.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Dr. Hester, make sure that you like it. Make sure that you share it on social media with other students and other people in your family that are interested in patient empowerment. And we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.